Yay. So without further ado, I'm gonna actually let the brilliant and beautiful and talented Dr. Gipson kind of formally introduce herself. But I'm gonna just say a little bit and talk a little bit about why I was so excited to get her on one of these calls with us. So students, you guys hear us talk about this kind of stuff all the time, some of the differences between high school and college, and even just some of the types of knowledge you can learn and the types of things you can get into when you get to college. And Dr. Gipson is just one of the coolest professors and researchers in the world. Like, y'all don't even know how blessed y'all are, right? She's a genius and an activist and an Afrofuturist, and she can kind of talk about what some of that means, because I know some of that is new terminology for y'all. But I wanted to bring her on because she teaches classes, the types of classes that none of you have access to in middle school and high school. Like, nobody's teaching pop culture, in that real of a way, right? In middle school and high school. And so I wanted her to come on and kind of be an example of, really that anything you're interested in can turn into a career, right? Like that if you're willing to put the work in, if you're willing to kind of study and focus and kind of have an idea for yourself, people is really out here like creating careers and and ways of kind of existing in the world. And so please, Dr. Gipson, tell us about yourself. I know we got some questions, and my students are usually really eager and really bright. They usually have questions that surprise me every week. And so we'll get to later, like what's better, Marvel or DC and all of that kind of stuff, because you're an expert in that area.
I mean, it's not a debate.
It's not a debate.
You can't compete when you don't compare.
Marvel the best.
She's wearing the right sweater.
Okay, yes. So without further ado, please, you can kind of start us off.
Yes, well, so thank you so much for having me on. ATL is like second home to me. I did go to undergrad there, went to Clark Atlanta University, so that will always be, home. I'm originally though from the Midwest.
Go Panthers!
Yes, go Panthers, yes. Twice over, because I went to Georgia State too. So we got the red and black Panther and the blue and white Panther. So made my way down to Atlanta and got into went to Clark Atlanta, loved it, probably 4 of the best years of my life. Like for real, would totally do it all over again. And after that, went to grad school at Howard, then came back to Atlanta, went to Georgia State, then did the PhD, went out to the West Coast, went to UC Berkeley, and got the PhD in African American Studies, where I wrote a dissertation on Black female superheroes and comics and graphic novels. So many people ask, like, how did you get into comics and graphic novels? So 4 years old, my grandmother gave me the funny papers. And that's how I got into it. Like, I literally was like reading Peanuts, Hagar the Horrible. This is dating me now, y'all, because clearly this is like, Calvin and Hobbes, all of that. And I just got a love for comics. X-Men would be my introduction into like it formally. So, clearly I have, Storm here. She would be the first Black person that I would see in comics. And actually one of my top 3 characters, like of all time, if someone would ask like, who are your top 3? Storm is going to always be in there. But, interesting enough, so now it's cool to tell people that you like comics and that you're a Black girl nerd and all that. But when I was coming through in like the 90s and 80s, I couldn't tell nobody that I was in the comics and not get made fun of or be teased about it. Like, that was just something that I couldn't do, just, real talk. And so I hid the fact that I loved comics, was into it until probably like my senior year in college, when I was getting ready to graduate. And it wasn't until I did my master's at Georgia State in African American Studies, where one of my professors did a documentary on Black masculinity in comics. And I was like, you ain't talk about the Black women, like where the Black females, you know, why we're not engaging with them here? And he was like, that's what you're gonna do. And I was like, what? Like, I can write a thesis on Black comics characters? He was like, yeah. And so it began. So yeah, you know, like I said, I've always had a love, but I never thought that I could, one, make a career out of it, two, you know, write a dissertation or a thesis, three, travel the world. So I have been able to go to Belgium, to London, to Australia to talk about comics. Like, in what world do you get to do that? Where, and in many of those cases, they paid me to come out there. So like, you know, it's very true. Like, if you have a passion, you have a love for something, you got to like dive into it. You go all in it. And, you know, I'm able to teach it. I'm able to talk about it in class, and then pop culture as a whole. So we all watch TV. We all go to the movies. We, you know, watch the commercials. We, you know, we listen to the music. And so why not have classes where we talk about it? Why not? You know, by show of hands, or, you know, the emoticon or whatever. How many folks know P-Valley? Heard the show P-Valley? Maybe. Okay. All right, we got a few folks. So I taught a course on P-Valley, I May Destroy You, and a Black Lady sketch show, where we were talking about Black women representation in television. I taught a course on looking at how you know, evaluate documentaries, Black documentaries, and so forth. So it's like anything that we talk about, like in our day-to-day conversation, you can put that into the classroom. You can bring that into the, you know, talk about it amongst your peers, talk about the problematic, you know, issues. You know, we've definitely seen commercials where we've seen like Black folks, your skin has been lightened, when we're like, now we know they much darker than that, or why are they lightening that person's skin, or, you know, so forth. Or there were definitely ad campaigns where people were like creating shoes that had big lips and big noses and thought it was cute and thought it was fashionable. And I'm like, no, that's problematic if we're going to talk about the minstrel show and all of that good stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things where I love what I do. I love that I get to, you know, in many ways, watch TV and movies all day and get to evaluate it. Like, what kind of better job, you know, is that? The fact that I've gotten a chance to meet a lot of people because of that craft. So you all seen Shuri and Black Panther. So I got a chance to meet the writer who did the Shuri comic, you know, gotten a chance to meet Jason Reynolds, who did the Miles Morales book, and, you know, several others. So it's like, it's pretty cool, you know, when you get to, you know, collect these things. And when you get, you know, into that adulthood, when you got to start paying taxes, see, I can write those off on my taxes because that's research. So, you know, it's a win-win. You got to learn to hustle. You got to learn how to figure out how to make things work for you. In the end,
I need that. I need some movie passes to write off on my taxes. Like, right. I was doing research. Exactly. I had all the Marvel movies for research. I need that.
So let's see. Let me see if you all can guess how many times I went to see the first Black Panther. See if anybody can guess.
Let's drop some numbers in the chat. How many times do you think she went to see the first Black Panther film? All right, we got 50, we got 12, we got 20, 28, 24, 9, 6, 7. Okay, we got some.
All right, so somebody in the chat did. So Ivy got it right. I did go see it 12 times.
12 times.
Partly because one of my chapters in my dissertation was on the Dora Milaje, and I needed to. So like the first couple times I watched for enjoyment. I was just like, we just here taking it all in. Probably like the third through the fifth time, I literally was in the movie theater with a notebook, like taking notes, like catching details that I may have missed, you know. And then because people know that I'm into comics, they would be like, hey, let's go see Black Panther. We got tickets. Bet, I'm there. Let's go. So that's probably like one of the most times I've seen any movie. And, you know, I tell people, it was a little bit of research. It was a little bit of fun. So yeah, it was truly something that I love. Like I said, I love what I do. I love that I get to talk about pop culture. You know, as mentioned, you know, I identify as an Afrofuturist. So what that is someone who imagines what Black futures can and will be, and how we can change the past to impact the present to therefore, have a better future. And so much of what some of you all may have encountered Afrofuturistic work. A lot of people see, a lot of Missy Elliott's older music videos definitely have an Afrofuturistic touch to it. Anything from Octavia Butler, any of her books, definitely, if you, especially Kindred, if you've read the book or watched the Hulu series, very much, definitely something of the Afrofuturistic point of view, Black speculative science fiction, all of that. Because I'm always of the mindset of dispelling this myth that Black people don't exist in the future. Because there's really a lot of, we know it now. People, they don't want Black folks to exist in the present, let alone the future. So, we have to always dispel that myth. Another topic we get to talk about, Little Mermaid, the big uproar that, Ariel is Black. And folks got an issue with that. Like, why is she Black? She was never Black in the, Disney movies. Well, if we really think about it and we look at African mythology, there were actually Black mermaids that exist. So, like I said, these are the types of things that we can bring to the table, that we can have conversations about, engage with, bring some history into it, bring that little fun to it, all that. So,
So let me ask you this, Grace.
yes.
How many times did you see the second Black Panther? Since you saw the first one 12 times, I know you were working and actively researching at that point. How many times did you see the second film?
Oh, just half of that. So 6 times, because now my book project is looking, it's still, I'm looking specifically also at the Dora Milaje and at Shuri. So I'm looking at Black female superheroes within comics. So not as many times as the first one, but definitely still enough that's probably out of the norm for people to go to see it. So yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So we do have some questions coming in the chat.
Okay,
yeah, so what do you want to say? Yeah, Dion, go ahead.
Okay, so Grace, I know you. We went to undergrad. You are with Nichelle. You Nichelle.
Oh my God, yes.
We went classes together.
Good.
I was like, I know her. When I finally looked, I was doing other things, but now I'm like, I know her from college. Yes. Okay. Hey, girl. Good to see you too.
Yeah,
that's all.
See, small world here.
That Clark connection. Okay. Panthers unite. That's what's up. Okay, good stuff. So one of the students, and I'm just gonna jump back towards the top. I'm trying to stay in the chat, but somebody asked, I heard you say a couple already, but where is the most memorable place that you've gone to talk about comics and talk about your research and stuff?
Let's see. I would have to say it's a tie between Australia and South Africa. Those would be between the two, yeah. And South Africa, because I actually was able to talk to some creators and writers, and I was like, it was very tunnel vision in regards to thinking about where comics are, and the fact that they have lots of them in graphic novels. I was totally amazed. And many of the stories are similar, in ways, as far as this fantasy fiction that's going on. And then some are very much historical as well. And then Australia, because it was totally different from anywhere that I've been. The fact that it was a long plane ride, and then the fact that the way in which they think about Black people is very much different than other places where I've been. There's this moment where I like to call it the France Fanon moment, or the Look a Negro moment. And that happened to me a lot in Australia. This idea of staring as if they've never seen you before, in person, that is, because clearly they've seen Black people on television and stuff, but to actually see you in live and living color was amazing to some people. So yeah.
That's what's up. All right, so we got a couple of people saying different things. So Rectasia was saying she feels like adaptation is kind of constant. And so older things like the Little Mermaid sometimes need a wash and shine.
Yes. And I think that's too Disney also trying to fix a lot of their problems and their issues. If you go back to some of the old Disney, movies and films, Disney wasn't always pristine and shiny clean. They had a lot of stereotypical type of characters, especially, portraying Black people as savages. So a lot of it, I think, is too Disney trying to be on this whole, we're woke diverse, inclusive, but at the same time, yes, very much so, washing up some things. So yeah.
Yeah, and Disney owes us too, man, because
Yep.
the one Black princess that they have done is had the worst movie like of any Disney princess. It's just
Yeah.
Tiana. I love Tiana's awesome, but come on, the whole movie she was a fraud. You can't really
Right.
so one of those things, right?
Yeah. There's so many problems with that.
Okay, another. Okay, my bad. So one of my colleagues here, Scott, said, did you watch Lovecraft Country? Like, what did you think about Lovecraft Country? Kind of in that Afrofuturistic, kind of process.
Loved it. Was reading the book simultaneously. So at the same time, because the book actually really lines up with the series. I remember it came out the day after my birthday. And I was literally glued to the screen every Sunday night on HBO watching it. There was so much, the fact that they bring in the Green Book, the fact that they bring in the sundown towns, all of like that episode and, spoilers alert, the episode when the Black lady becomes white, like these are all things that like very much blow the mind, and the way in which they use the speculative to talk about racism, to talk about sexism. The idea in the end when they, bring in Emmett Till, they call him, Bobo, but, bringing in that historical feature. I feel like HBO wasn't ready for it after, they didn't prepare for the greatness that it was. And, the fact that they talked about Tulsa and the race massacre, the fact that they brought in Jackie Robinson within there. The girl, the daughter at the end, kind of is reminiscent of Misty Knight because, with her, the arm and the hand and everything, the transformation there. There was just so much history that was brought in, so much of the sci-fi. And it was a Black cast that was really like touching upon a lot of sensitive topics, a lot of things that a lot of shows are doing now. But even was that maybe I think 3 or 4 years ago, people still weren't ready, for those topics. So yeah.
So I'm not skipping you, Prince, but it just kind of bleeds into. So Lovecraft Country is Lovecraft Country, right? For a lot of people, that was some folks' introduction to Jonathan Majors.
Right.
And now Jonathan Majors obviously has a huge role, just coming up, in these future Marvel projects. And what do you think? Somebody asked, what do you think about him being in Marvel and the things that may be to come with him? These big Marvel, listen, man, the big bads in Marvel, right, to this point have been a Machine, a Purple Man, and Killmonger and Kang.
Right.
About Jonathan Majors. That's okay, never mind. But what do you think about Jonathan Majors kind of being Kang, being such a powerful character in Marvel, and where do you think we're going with that?
So this was one of those movies where I actually was rooting for the villain. Like the whole time, I could care less about Ant-Man doing what he needed to do. Like I was like, Kang, I'm on your side. I feel you. I get you. Like what's the next thing on the agenda? He played that role so well that you wanted to be on his side, and not he nailed it just perfectly. And that's the sign of like someone who, a true villain who can make you really think about, like, do I really like the hero, or am I really on the side of the hero? His talent just is able to, I mean, he did excellent in Lovecraft Country. So then, to see him translate those talents into Kang, I'm like, man, I literally was on the edge of my seat, like, this dude is like killing it. He stole the movie, in my opinion. It was less about Ant-Man and more about Kang and, what he was bringing to the table. Like I said, in many forms, I almost forgot about Ant-Man, because of the dialogue that he had. So, yeah.
Right. It was
I'm curious to see what's going to happen, especially since he's also going to be in Loki too. So
Definitely Kang's movie, and they needed Ant-Man on the title card. So can you name some of the graphic novels that made you kind of interested in comics? Kelly asked that question. Just some good stuff on your reading list potentially for some teenagers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I should have pulled those out too. So anything really, Black Panther, Marvel, Miles Morales is gonna always be in my category there. If we're looking outside of Marvel, and we definitely can bring that discussion on Marvel and DC. I was a fan of Amanda Waller and Justice League and all of them, and Suicide Squad, as we're looking at on the DC side of things. There's this preteen character name is Moon Girl, Lunella Lafayette, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Her series was really impactful, and she's actually got a series on Disney Plus, which is excellent. I would definitely put her in there. There's a couple that are like not superhero related. So there's this one called Wash Day Diaries, and it was actually featured in Essence, and is talking about like going to get the hair done, the routine of what Black women and women of color have to go through with their hair. And for all those that know, that process, it's a lot. And so to put that into this graphic novel is a huge thing. Definitely Sam Wilson and Captain America, because we all know that he is the new Captain America now. What else? So there's one that I got from France that I got here that is really awesome, and it talks about the Tuskegee Airmen, but I know it's one that can be ordered, called Tuskegee Ghosts. So if we're going like to the historical side, that's definitely on my list. I got another one here.
So you said you got that one from France. So someone in France wrote it, Okay. So do you find that a lot? Do you find people in other places writing historical pieces about American culture?
Yep. Probably more so than America. There is though a graphic novel on Nat Turner from Kyle Baker, which is really and it has no words. All it is just images, but it's definitely one that I'd recommend as well. And so you're seeing a lot more of the historical graphic novels coming out in the US, but outside of the US is actually much more popular to see that. So, and I'll send a list, because me thinking off the top of my head is a lot.
I love lists. Yeah. I love lists, and I can forward them to some of them. So I'm gonna put a couple of questions together. Prince was asking about if you were to make a Black female, you said make a Black female Avenger. Do you mean like a movie, or what do you mean exactly, Prince? You just if you just could turn anybody, I'm trying to understand the question, I'm trying to make sure. But while Prince is clearing up that, if she could make her own Avenger style team, who would she put on it? That's what you're asking? Oh, okay. So that's what he's asking. If you could make your own kind of Avenger style team, who would be on that team?
Do I have a limit?
How many people, Prince? Just hold up the number with your hands. How many people she got to get to put on this team? I can't see your hands though, because you went away. 7. We got 7 is the number. Okay. 7 is.
So definitely going to have Storm on there. She's got to be on there. Let's see who else. Definitely got to put Misty Knight, who's going to be on there. Luke Cage. We got 3 here. Is going to be on there. Black Panther. T'Challa's going to be on there. I got to pull Okoye from the Dora Milaje on there. Let's see. I got one more. Let's see. The true Captain Marvel, who is Monica Rambeau. So she is the Black female that was in, if you all saw the Captain Marvel, she was Carol Danvers' friend, who was the pilot. She's actually the original Captain Marvel. So the first Captain Marvel was actually a Black woman. So I would
and she was in Doctor Strange.
Correct. Yes.
Other universe. Yeah.
So yeah, I would add. So it would be them. So yeah, Storm, T'Challa, Okoye,
Misty Knight,
Knight,
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, and Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I don't think none of y'all could put a team together better than hers. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only got 6 though. Wait,
I got one more.
Either I missed. Yeah, you need one more. Yep, Mr. Jason.
Miles. We got to throw in Miles Morales.
I mess with that. I mess with Miles Morales.
Because you got to add some youth in there. I got to add some youth. Can't be all adults in there. Got to add some youth in there.
Okay, good stuff. I mess with that. I'm gonna put a list in there. Y'all tell me if y'all got a better number. Okay. Somebody asked, do you think? And you know what? I'm hoping for this. I am hoping for this because now I look back at the X-Men franchise. I know it was done, through Fox and all that good stuff. But I look back at the X-Men franchise and I wish the X-Men franchise would have been set up more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like slowly building in characters, like everybody kind of getting their own film and then doing team up films. Because we only got, Wolverine as a person and
right,
right? And then everybody else was kind of in these movies together. Do you think Storm will ever get, a movie to shine in? Since Storm is your person, do you think Storm will ever get, kind of her own film?
I hope so. And I hope they pick someone other than Halle Berry.
Me too. Me too.
I am not a fan of Halle Berry being Storm. Never have, never will. And people, I would take that all the way home to the grave with me. Like, it was the way that they had Storm portrayed in those X-Men movies. I was like, that's not Storm. That's not who I grew up reading. And it was like there were chances where they could improve her. So when they made her younger, and then they got Alexandra Shipp to play her. So once again, we're still not getting it right.
Yeah.
And part of it, and this is where we had this conversation, there's the idea of colorism. So in the comics, like Storm is actually of a much darker complexion. So the fact that there's this lightening of who she is. And a big part of it was at the time, Halle Berry was the it actress at the time. So it was like, yes, of course, we're going to put, one of the most popular Black actresses at the time to play Storm. So, but there, I hope, and I hope with the revamping and now that, Disney can, go into, kind of revamp X-Men, there's the hope. I'm, a realist in saying that it probably won't happen because there's just, they'd really have to do a lot with that. And I don't see them putting the time into that, but I could be wrong. Because I never thought a Black Panther movie would come out because there was a time when they said we can't create a Wakanda, but yet we were able to create Asgard and all that. So, but yeah. So that, I'm realist in that, I have a hope for it, but I'm just not sure. And yes, the fact that she's from Egypt and there's never any kind of like reference to that. There's never any reference. She was very matronly. She was very, docile. And I was like, at one time, Storm ran X-Men.
Right,
like,
right. Control the whole thing.
So I'm like, why are we making her seem weak? But yeah, so.
Okay. Somebody asked, Brooke Spears said, how would you picture yourself if you were a comic book character, a superhero, if you will? What would some of these powers be? What would be your skill set as a superhero?
So I actually have one that I always dream about and think about. The character's name would be Brooklyn Asada. So I already have, the name of the character. She's gonna have long locks. So I kind of have like already makeup of what she looks like. Power wise, so she's gonna definitely have, extreme speed. I used to run track in high school, so that's like gonna be imperative that she has that. She's gonna definitely be able to control the elements because like there's nothing more, that you can, when you can control what the weather is going to be like, that's a huge talent that's underrated there. Who else? Or what else would I say? If you are familiar with Nightcrawler, so he was able to like pop in and out of places. like definitely that, you know, so those kind of like elements I would definitely want: speed, control of the elements, and being able to pop in and out. You know, would be kind of like the core that I would want.
Okay. Okay. Someone said, who is your favorite villain? All time favorite villain?
Ooh.
Uh, that's tough.
I got to think on that one.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's levels to that. It's levels to that.
It is, because you know, there's moments when I'm a Magneto fan, you know, but and we're differentiating between villain and anti-hero, right? I just want to make sure, like,
oh, let's break that down. No, let's break that down, because you know, I'm sure there are people here that have never made a difference between the two, right? And so somebody just said, you know, so Mr. James just said Loki is mine, right?
okay, I like Loki.
Right into that conversation, because Loki is you know, very early on was kind of villain, right? And then absolutely shifted more into just, you know, kind of prankster anti-hero-ish type, right? And so but this is what you do for a living, so I'll let you kind of break down those definitions.
So yeah, like, you know, with an anti-hero, you know, it's they don't want to be a hero. So, you know, they're not necessarily, they can at times appear to be villain-like, but they still have kind of like a moral compass about them that is like, yeah. And Loki is really a excellent example of that, where like he's that trickster where you're just like, he does things, you know, for his own benefit. So he is very selfish in that sense, but he does have the moral compass that he still wants to save at least his brother, or at least, you know, the people that are closest to around him. Some would even argue that Batman is an anti-hero, because he's not really wanting to be a hero. He kind of felt like he had to be that, or, you know, to kind of take on that role, but that's not something that he aspires to, much like Superman is very much a hero. Somebody
in the chat just said Venom is the best anti-hero.
Venom, yeah. I give that to Venom as well. To so Amanda Waller, who is played by Viola Davis in Suicide Squad, she's a prime example of also a great anti-hero, because at times she'll sacrifice her team.
Oh yeah.
You know,
the whole first scene, the whole setup for Suicide Squad.
Just to make sure that she, you know, gets her cut. So there was even times where Luke Cage, you know, the man, he was called a hero for hire. You know, that meant meaning pay me and I'll go take care of your business. I'll go do what we need to do. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's definitely it's tricky when it comes to that, but like true villain. I was a fan of Lex Luthor. It goes in and out. I would say the Joker, but he has that crazy tendency sometimes where it's just kind of like, ooh, I'm not sure how to work with him, but he's probably about the scariest villain. If we're gonna talk about scary villain, he tops that to a T for sure. So
yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I grew up with Joker. I mean, you know, Joker was, you know, they've had some really good actors do Joker. I just, you know, like
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, Heath Ledger's Joker was just, you know, amazing. But even when I was younger, like, you know, the Jack Nicklaus Joker to me was, you know, when I was a kid, Jack Nicklaus Joker was cool to me.
Fine with, you know, Michael Keaton is, you know, as Batman. Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay. So I said I don't really watch Marvel movies or read them, so I feel a little lost here. It's okay, but I love that you're participating, Kelly. That's good stuff. Like Kelly's like, I'm trying to. That's cool. It's okay, Kelly. Look, comic books aren't for everybody. Movie like, you know, superhero movies aren't for everybody. I personally love them. I know we have a lot of students that do. But like I said, I appreciate you kind of just being a part of the conversation, Kelly.
But think also too about villains within like the television shows, and just even general movies that we watch. You know, I remember, let's see, How to Get Away with Murder, and Annalise Keaton was deemed as seen as kind of like a hero, but maybe she wasn't at times. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, like, you know, you had to kind of watch with her and how she was, you know, being portrayed. You remember the Empire. So Lucius, you know, could be seen very much as a villain, you know, but and then kind of flipping sides as well too. What else? What's some other shows that popular?
I don't know. I only watch crime TV, so I don't know. It ain't
So
CSI, you know what I'm saying? Equalizer, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Queen Latifah, you know.
The whole St. Patrick family. Yes, from from Power, absolutely. Yeah.
There's a Law and Order SB. See, that's the kind of stuff I be on, right?
Yeah.
So somebody asked, okay, what about art like drawing, sketching? So BMF.
Yeah, absolutely. BMF.
So in terms of, let me ask you this, Grace, because I think this is what the student is trying to maybe leaning towards and trying to act, right? So you are a comic book researcher, you are a comic book scholar. Have you ever been, or have you ever deemed yourself as an artist? Like the student is asking about like drawings and sketching, and
that is not my ministry. I can write. So I team up with lots of artists, but as far as me being an artist myself, nope, I'm not skilled or talented in that way at all. Nope.
But there are lots of creatives, lots of writers might need those kinds of services.
Like,
right?
So you need both. You need the writer, you need the artist that, you know, so like I said, I know many of artists who this is what they do and do it very well. And I can write the heck out of something for you. So yeah.
Okay, somebody asked about Ghost Rider. Do you like Ghost Rider?
It was all right. That was all right. You know, one of the lower tier Marvel movies, but it was all right. Yeah.
Now, since they brought Ghost Rider in, right, and we got Midnight Suns and all of that kind of stuff coming up, and you know, I'm excited. I'm really like, I can't probably even explain how excited I am for the reboot of Blade, right? I'm really excited for the reboot of Blade. I think they have a great actor that's going to be bringing Blade back. I am nervous though, because Blade is nasty. I mean, like, you know, it's lots of, you know, it's right. Okay. Right.
Slicing and dicing.
Right. Blade is nasty out here, right? And so I'm a little nervous, but I'm really, really excited about Blade. You know, I think one of the things that has me most excited about Blade is we still got a couple of years before it come out. So maybe I'll feel comfortable with my son actually going to see. Because right now he's 10, and I'm like, if Blade dropped tomorrow, bro, you can't watch it. That's what it is. But is there anything coming up either side? You know, I know DC just had a big reboot now with the new director kind of over their universe. Is there anything that you're looking forward to, you know, on the horizon in terms of like, you know, movies and that kind of stuff coming or on the way?
So definitely Secret Invasion with Samuel Jackson. Definitely looking forward to that. The Marvels movie, definitely looking forward to that as well. I don't get too hyped up about DC movies because they seem to always disappoint me. So I don't get really excited about it unless they're kind of like outside of the realm. So unless, you know, like a new Joker movie, yeah, you know, I'll get excited about that. A new Batman movie, but they just that's one thing they cannot get right. They have not gotten right is their films. They haven't got the formula for that. So yeah, I don't, you know, Aquaman, you know, we'll see. You know, it's we'll see. You know, I'm gonna go see because like I'm always gonna see all the movies. But it was kind of cheesy, that first one. You know, it was, you know, so I was like, okay.
They said the D in DC stands for disappointment.
Now what DC does do that's better than Marvel is their animation. Their animated series, they have that on lock. Much better than Marvel does. That is something that I will give them all day. But when it comes to movies, nope.
And it used to be that DC, well, in my opinion, it used to be that DC had more compelling villains.
Yes.
They just had more. They had more compelling villains than the Marvel side of comics. But you know, like you said, that just has not translated in terms of films, right? And so lately with the films, you know, the Marvel villains have been you know, really stepping up. They've been the people in the villain roles have been really kind of stepping up. So
I think sometimes it's almost not even the villain per se, like the character, but the person who embodies the character
yes,
that you're
yes,
just like, oh dang, because Kane could have been anybody,
yes.
but you know, Major stepping into that like really transforms it into a whole nother thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm actually, somebody typed earlier, unpopular opinion. I'm not the hugest Michael B. Jordan fan. I'm not, just sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry. Be mad at me later. You know, but you know, he did relatively well as Killmonger. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you ain't gotta boo me. You ain't gotta boo me. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I just, you know.
Oh yeah, and to the question, yes, I like the Snyder cut on Justice League. Yes, I did.
Nice. They said, oh, the first Wonder Woman, that's it. That's the only one.
Yeah, because the second one was a little bit, it didn't, yeah.
But they coming for me crazy. I'm talking about their husband now. Okay. Michael B, it's okay. Michael B. Jordan is, you know.
He does well because people write great scripts for him. And
I
he's
respect that.
able to translate that. That's
I
why
respect it.
that's why he's good.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just saying, since we're talking about Jonathan Majors, if we put Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan in the same role, I'm sorry.
It's not the same.
I'm sorry. Jonathan Majors is gonna act him under the table. I'm sorry. I'm just you call it what you want. Call it what you want. I mean, just saying.
Ultron was pretty good.
You know, I love oh my gosh, I just forgot his name from Blacklist. I love his who voiced Ultron.
Yes.
He's an amazing actor as well. And so I think, you know, that just made, you know, that character, you know, because I don't know why I can't remember his name.
I know exactly what you're talking about though. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think he just did an amazing job.
One movie, and we'll see if it can kind of continue. So 80s baby here, loved Transformers. Loved the Transformers. So there's supposed to be a new movie coming out, I believe, later this summer. And like that was, you know, Optimus Prime, all of them, that was just like totally up my alley. So I am looking forward to that. We'll see if they can make the CGI good, because I remember watching the first one and I could see the moving of the machines, and I was like, "Ooh, they got to work on that," because you could see them actually transforming literally. But that is one, as we were thinking about things, that's one that definitely came to mind for sure.
That's what's up. Somebody said Transformers never had a bad movie. I would debate that.
I would too.
But I love the sentiment. Somebody asked, how do you feel about Scarlet Witch? So they're talking about Wanda in here, and Scarlet Witch is, you know, Scarlet Witch is dangerous out in these streets.
She is. I appreciated her in what's the series? Why is it skipping?
WandaVision.
Yes, WandaVision. I did like that. I love the nostalgia that they threw in with there. So I'm not a follower of her, but I respect her talent, her craft, and very much appreciate that she was, you know, in the series. But yeah, definitely the new Spider-Man, with Miles. Definitely, I think the Into the Spider-Verse was probably one of the best movies out there, you know, and because it came out later that same year of Black Panther, I feel like, you know, it got its notoriety, but I feel like it should have got much more. So yeah.
All right, guys, do we have any more questions? You know, anything, right? So she talked some about her undergrad experience, her grad school experience a little bit, and then we talked a lot about the research, but I'll ask this. So what brought you from the Midwest to Clark Atlanta? How did you feel? Were you nervous about leaving where you were from and coming this far for college, right? We have a lot of students that'll be making some of those kinds of decisions. You know, what was that process like when you were in high school? What brought you to Atlanta?
So I was in Upward Bound, and we were doing a college tour, and we were doing Tennessee and Atlanta. So we went to Tennessee State, we went to Fisk, and we made our way down to Atlanta, where we did obviously Spelman, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Morris Brown, because at the time Morris Brown was still hanging in there. So, and I remember setting foot on the campus, and I was like, that's where I'm going. I was ninth grade, and I already knew this is where I'm going. I went to a predominantly white high school, so I needed a change up. And coming to Atlanta and seeing Blackness all around me, everywhere, from the teachers to the students to just everything, I knew that that's where I wanted to go. So from ninth grade, I had already made the decision. I was going to apply. I applied to other schools, but I was always waiting on Clark Atlanta to get the decision, and they would be the last one to tell me that I got accepted, of all the schools. But I was able to get scholarship, all that good stuff. And it was, like I said, I was ready to leave. I'm from Champaign, Illinois, which is a college town. University of Illinois is there. That is what runs the city pretty much. 2 hours away from Chicago. I was ready to get up out of Illinois. I was tired of the snow. I was tired of everything cold. And Atlanta was the perfect place for me to do that. So I think my mom and my grandmother were actually more sad than I was. I was like, time to go, let's go. So I was excited, and I actually never went back, because once I got to Atlanta, it just kind of hooked me. And so for those that definitely are thinking about, going somewhere and, experiencing a new state, I say try it. You never know until you go, but if if it's for you, hey, I say do it, because we don't often get those opportunities to do that. Many of my students now, are from Virginia, and they wish they had a left, so it's like, if you have the opportunity and you want to, and you have the support, I say go for it, because, college is, some of the best years, and you get to, learn about new people, you get to engage in so many different ideas. Going to Clark Atlanta, I met people from all over the US and the diaspora, because people from the Caribbean came there, people from, the continent came. So it wasn't just, ATL folks, it was everybody. There was always a running joke where we knew the people from California when it came, to the weather, because they all had bubble jackets on. And so you knew where people came from based on what they looked, and that was kind of like fun to be able to get to know all these different personalities. So yeah, and I'm always going to be a huge proponent of HBCUs. Gonna always be my top thing to put out there. But wherever you go, make it so that you enjoy that experience, because those it's ones that you'll never forget.
Right. And y'all, I don't know if she said it fast, so I want to make sure y'all heard it. So she said she made that decision in ninth grade on a trio trip, right? So she is absolutely an Upward Bound alumnus, right? So a trio student in her own. And so even for y'all, right, it doesn't mean you're gonna fall in love with every single college that we go to, right? But when we go on these college tours and we have all of these experiences, pay attention, because you never know, which one. Oh, I see you repping Tennessee State over there, Shania. I see you. You never know what school we might go to, and pay attention to yourself and your feelings while you're on those campuses, right? Because it might be that we take a tour, and like you said, it's just that moment that you understand, like, okay, this is where I want to be, and what do I need to do to kind of work towards making sure this happens. So that's good stuff. Mr. James said he ain't never had a bubble jacket in his life. He's from the West Coast. Why y'all listen? Y'all better stop hating on Atlanta.
Well, I will say this. So coming from the Midwest, my roommate was from Springfield, Massachusetts, and I remember it was probably like early November, and we were headed to class, and we saw people coming back to the dorm. And we were like kind of perplexed, because these people who had seen, like, why are you coming back? Like, you normally going to class. And they were like, oh, they're shutting the school down. And we were like, shutting the school down for what? And they were like, oh, it's a chance of ice and snow. And so the Midwest in me said, we shutting down a school for a chance of ice and snow, meaning it's not here. Like, wait a minute. So it was these were the hilarious moments that we would have being in Atlanta, because I'm like, I'm not understanding. Like, I went to school in feet of snow, but we're shutting down the school for A chance to
For a
bite.
chance. It might. A little sleep. Okay.
And again, after snowpocalypse, these days you just can't take no chances, right?
Nah, not around Atlanta. Because if they don't shut the city down, the city might get shut down anyway. That's kind of how this works. Okay, good stuff. Do we have any other questions? I see a couple people ask, like, what are your opinions of like Black Widow? Everybody's favorite spy. Yeah, Black Ice is a thing, man. It's a thing.
That's real. That's real.
Like people talk a lot about it, but it's something different about hitting ice. When you hit that ice, listen, you can be around snow your whole life. And when your tires hit that ice at the wrong moment, listen, your ideas change about things. That slip and slide in a car is not what you want. You don't want that.
I would just add, one of the great things about, as a professor, so one of the great things that I get to do is that I get to really have fun with my students, especially when it comes to like assignments. So this might be of interest to you also. For example, my intro students have to create a soundtrack syllabus, which means they get, there were 10 themes that we had throughout the whole semester. And under each theme, they have to pick 5 songs that correlate with the theme. And then they write like a 3 to 5 page essay about it. And so the creativeness is that, one, I get to learn about what my students think, the songs that correlate with it, whether it's present or past. And then they get to kind of tap into that historical piece because, if you think about what Aretha Franklin was saying in Respect, or what Sam Cooke was saying in The Change Gonna Come, there's a lot of that influence that impacts a Kendrick Lamar and a Cardi B. So when you put those kind of two together and you put those sounds together and you put those artists, you're like, oh wow, like Aretha Franklin kind of set the standards for someone like a Megan Thee Stallion to be able to be very unapologetic about who she is as a Black hip rapper, female rapper. So they say these are the conversations that you all can hopefully look forward to on the collegiate days, or maybe even somebody might come into the high schools and talk about it, but know that a lot of stuff that you engage with on a day-to-day regular can be a part of that conversation. You can really truly learn and see scratch beyond the surface of what it is. So
that's dope. If y'all might see that again real soon. We might have to steal that one. Make y'all make a little soundtrack, a little soundtrack syllabus kind of thing. That sounds cool. That's what's up. All right. Are there any other questions? We coming up on 7. I listen as they think of their last couple of questions. If they have any, I just want to say I really appreciate you stopping through and spending some time with us tonight. I love the work that you do. You're a dope sister. You've been that since I've known you. And so a student has, I'm sorry, I saw that earlier, Prince. They asked, do you have any books when is the books dropping, Dr.
Yes, so working on the book now as we speak. There are some articles that I do have out and some interviews. So, definitely can check me out. I've been on CNN, USA Today, and a couple other, some other journal articles. Recently I did one on the Little Mermaid. So the book, I'll make sure to let Mr. Kenny know and get that to you all, within the next year or two. That's hoping for that to drop with a kind of tentative title, Reclaiming Her Time. So, look for that coming out. So, yeah.
We're going to try to get you back. When the book drops, we're going to try to get you back. Do a book talk.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I would love that. I would love that.
Atlanta is easy to come to, and especially, trio program. I'm a trio myself. So I did Upper Bound and I did McNair. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do that. We'll have to do that. And listen, I'm gonna say it now. We're gonna get some. We're gonna get some of the books. If I gotta buy myself, I know I won't have to buy myself, but we're gonna get some of the books. We're gonna do a little book club. We're gonna read through it. We're gonna bring you back to talk about some of the amazing work that you're doing, because I do appreciate not only the work that you do, but tying all of this stuff together, right? Obviously we know that a lot of things in our world need to be challenged and need to be pointed out. and need to be, kind of, people need to be kind of made aware of. And so I do appreciate, historians like yourself, scholars like yourself, that are doing some of that work, you know what I mean, to kind of draw some of those, connect some of those dots along the way, right? And so I do appreciate that.
And know that you all like make a huge impact, like the contributions that you make, the suggestions you make, like we listen, like we made joke and we made, do all of that good stuff. But like I tell my students all the time, there's a lot of stuff that I learn because of y'all and that I change and I incorporate. So know that your voice really does make an impact and, and does change the landscape in the game. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So if nobody else has any questions, I think they asked you about every comic book hero they know. I think they asked you about everyone that they know.
Hey,
yeah.
Kenny. Hey, did anyone ask about Grace? Like, what if someone is interested? What could they be doing now in high school, or where would you internship for this type of opportunity? Like, what would you do now? Would you be creating your own comics and kind of getting them out there, or what?
So yeah, I totally this is when I say use social media, use social media to put your work out there, create a kind of like the zines. They have like e-zines that people can do. And then because there's a lot of people who are actually on social media, a lot of artists, a lot of graphic designers who like they are constantly on social media, Instagram, Tumblr, all of that. And like actually reaching out to them. Like this is when it's all right to be like, yeah, slide into the DM and be like, hey, by the way, I do this, this, and this, and connect in that way. Because that's what a lot of people are, how they're kind of getting known and getting their stuff and their work put out there. So, there was a time where I'd say, like how people say, give your tape to the radio station, this is that sense of like, put your tape on Instagram, put your work out there, share it with the masses. If you can copyright it, do that, or put some kind of marking on it so that it's yours. But that's one of the quickest ways too, is to get it out there, and then reaching out to the artists, because believe it or not, people are responding to that. People are taking notice of that. So yeah, that would be, I would say, kind of like the best way. And then if you can from there make connections with television stations, and even campus, stations, to see, what kind of art departments they have or what connections they have as well too.
So, and stay well read, right? So, even as you are creating, right, study other artists, right? Like sometimes we just, we miss that step, right? Sometimes we miss the step. But all artists have artists that they respect and admire and they learn from. Our current hip hop artists don't necessarily pay homage in the ways that previous generations might have, right? I just don't hear it as much. I also don't listen to as much hip hop now as I once did, like current hip hop. But I know there are absolutely times where Jay-Z is still really big on this. Nas kind of does this. Jay-Z will absolutely talk about, all of these other artists, whether it be Biggie or whether it be, he doesn't always say super positive things, but he talks about, how these other artists were treated even in the industry and the lessons that he learned from watching these other things. And so there are absolutely things that can be learned if you are into comic books or short stories or any of that kind of stuff. Read what other people are doing, how they develop characters, all of that kind of stuff. Just study your craft, whatever that craft is, whether it's dance, whether it's writing, whatever that is, kind of study your craft, I think would be good advice.
And before y'all go, I would also add, Onyx Con is a Black Comic Con that comes to Atlanta every summer. Definitely check that out. MomoCon is also another one for all the manga and anime fans. So these are also great spaces to go to tap into people finding out stuff. And Dragon Con, these are all like prime places for not just comics, but anything pop culture. So yeah.
Dion, didn't you say something about going to one of the comic book festivals?
I did. It was a lot of fun. And I did meet a lot of Black comics there that have comic books, that actually have programs to just kind of educate students about how to develop it, and just starting off. And but very, very I'm not used to people dressing in character all around. It's very interesting.
Eye-opening, yes.
So I'm going to piggyback off of that and say, so students, we say this kind of stuff all the time, but if there are things that you are really, really interested in, please let your folks know. Let Miss Cleo know. Let Mrs. Stokes know. Let Mr. James and Miss Q let us know, because I can tell you this, because I know it to be true, right? If we knew we had 25 or 30 of y'all that really wanted to go to Comic-Con, right? At least one person on our staff would be like, hey, let's do it. Like, let's make it happen. Right. And so when y'all have Mr. James was raising his hand. So I'm just saying, like, if there are things like that, I see some people typing some stuff up, culinary arts, game design. We've done cooking classes and that kind of stuff. So when there are things that y'all are really, really interested in, right? A part of our role with y'all, a part of our desire is to give you guys all kinds of experiences, give you guys a head start, put you in some situations so that you can kind of learn and know and kind of experience things that you might not otherwise have access to. We work really, really hard, and we think really, really hard about things to do, but it's never bad if y'all tell us kind of where to aim, right? So if y'all got ideas, as Dr. Gipson was saying, share those ideas, because we do learn from y'all, right? We learn from y'all every step of the way, right? And so, please, 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 if y'all have kind of ideas, make sure y'all reach out and kind of let us know what those things are. Right. Somebody said they was Gwen at Comic-Con. Okay, Jaquay. All right, I see you.
And for the game designing folks, Pharaoh's Conclave is in Atlanta. It's a Black couple that have actually designing company where they talk about game designing and all of that, and it's right there in Atlanta. So definitely check them out. It's Pharaoh's Conclave.
Okay, I'm gonna text you and ask you that, because I might try to see if we can. Gaming is so big these days, right? With esports and everything else, I might try to see if we can get them out and maybe see if we can get them to come in and drop some jewels for the students. So I'm gonna reach out to you and just ask you for their name and their information.
And yes, Prince, we can approve your list for your list of heroes here. I'm all for this. I see you blending.
Got some DC, got some Marvel.
DC and Marvel. So I like that mix. So yes, it is approved. That's approved.
All right. Well, I appreciate you so much, Dr. Gipson, for joining us and giving our students like such a wealth of information about all things pop culture and comic. I really do appreciate you. Nick talking about gaming tournaments. Nick, you ain't ready, man. You don't want that smoke, Nick. But I appreciate you for joining us, Dr. Gipson. I know you gave the students a lot of valuable information, and like I said, I just appreciate your time for the evening. So thank you very much. And I know we're gonna stay linked up anyway, but yeah, we're gonna get a couple copies of this book once the book drops. We're gonna bring you back.
There we go. And next time I'm ATL, I'll make sure to see if I can come through and see everybody in person.
Man, if you're here this summer, definitely. We be in Clayton State every day. So yeah, let's do that.
All righty then.
All right. Thank you.
See y'all.
Bye.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
So students, I will say this for Miss Q. If you are Clayton County, please make sure you sign in. If you are not Clayton County and you here, should have said this earlier, just put your name in the chat just so I can go back and look at it later.